Now this is the kind of guy I want to be. A rappy in Forest 1 from Phantasy Star Online. This fella's got a lot of reasons to feel relaxed because he lives in a pretty chill, lush world, so let's talk about it. To say that PSO is a popular game would probably be putting it lightly. It was many people's first exposure to online gaming, and it retains a dedicated fan base to this day. But what interests me about the game is the art direction and the aesthetics, which is what I'm going to be talking about today on this little tour that we're doing. This video is part of a virtual tourism series that I'm working on where we look around game worlds, taking in the sights and sounds. Mainly Dreamcast games, but I'll definitely chuck some other stuff in there too. Let's dive in and have a look at the city area on Pioneer 2. Outside of the lobby, this is one of the first areas you're going to see, and it does make a very striking first impression. There's blue light and neon and flying taxis and towering skyscrapers everywhere. It brings to mind stuff like Blade Runner, maybe Coruscant from Star Wars, maybe even some sci-fi anime if you're so inclined to that sort of thing. And even though it's only a very small hub area, it really gives you a window into what life is like on Pioneer 2. You can see people bumbling around, worrying about Red Ring Rico, and of course there's stuff to do. We've got shops, we've got the hospital, we've got the Hunters Guild. Let's take a look in there. So the Hunters Guild's got a very dramatic window view here where you can see the planet Ragol, which looks a lot like Earth down below you. We've got our helpful vendor over at the desk ready to give you some missions, and there's all kinds of various cyber doodads going on back there. You got scrolling text, bright lights, beep boop consoles, all the kind of stuff that really gets me going. Over in the hospitals, more of the same, but we've got these cool lights on the floor. The whole thing is very sparse and chrome and shiny. Really gives it a clean, clinical look, which makes a lot of sense. And chances are if you're watching this video, you've probably spent a lot of time at this shopping district here. Buying weapons, buying armour, getting your tech checked. And I really do appreciate the extra little details in these shops. If you look at the weapon guy, you've got gun racks shifted around in the background. And if you look opposite to the vendors, there's all kinds of stuff going on here with the scrolling ticker tape up at the top, the little panel on the left hand side here showing maps and things like that. This area showcases something that Sega were very good at around this time, which is to take a very small hub area and make it seem much larger, to suggest a lot more about it. Just looking out off the walkway, you can see all the signage, the flying taxis, the lights. It makes you think of a big hustling bustling city. And if you're like me, maybe your mind starts to race with the possibilities of what else is going on here. But we can't loiter here forever because maybe Red Ring Rico's out there somewhere, so we gotta get out onto the surface of Ragol. The first forest area is Sega Blue Skies as all heck. I love it. I think it makes a great first impression for this game. There's bright sunny skies, there's lush vegetation everywhere, there's big majestic waterfalls, and plenty of native animals that we will unfortunately end up maiming on our travels. Interestingly, in the Book of Hunters, which is an official Sega companion piece to this game, it points out that everything here is actually artificial, and as a result of us trying to terraform the planet to be more like Earth and more habitable to us. Big shout out to Era from the Yellowbow's Tumblr for translating the Book of Hunters because I can't read Japanese, so I wouldn't know this stuff otherwise. I'll drop a link to the translation in the description so you guys can have a look as well. It's really interesting reading. I do love the blend here of all the high-tech industrial gates and crates here, mixed in with an almost Jurassic Parky looking jungle. It makes for an interesting contrast, and you can see that there was obviously a human hand in sculpting this area. As we move through the forest into this courtyard area, We can see little round towers and buildings that look like satellites or comma rays, but also kind of look like little pod houses off Dragon Ball Z, or the little round houses from the planet Palmer on the original Phantasy Star. I like how we get a different texture here, looking like maybe marble or alabaster, suggesting that this might be a residential area, or at least a place where workers live. Even though the area design in this game is pretty simple, you could still find some cool little examples of environmental storytelling as you go around. I always like finding these broken down or abandoned hover bikes. A lot of the early side missions in this game do show humans going down to Ragol and then coming into conflict with the creatures living there. And this kinda suggests stuff like that. Maybe people got knocked off their bike, maybe their bikes just ran out of gas, maybe they got scared and abandoned them. Who knows, but it's a nice little detail that they didn't need to put there. As we go on a little bit more towards the central dome, everything gets rainy and gloomy. The stony walls look a little bit more cracked and broken down, and we can start to see the evidence that maybe something's not quite right here. As we go down into the caves, there's fucking lava and dragons everywhere and it's cool as shit. Satoshi Sakai was the art director on this game, and he'd previously worked on Panzer Dragoon Saga, and you can definitely see his hand on some of the enemy designs, especially the dragons. This area continues that Phantasy Star blend of industrial sci-fi stuff with natural structures, so we've got this big green metallic bridge over this chasm, but then in the background there we can see lava flowing down freely from the rocks. And also continuing a theme on this series where I feel like I really want to drink the lava that Sega were putting out in their games at this time. Going deeper into the caves, we get damp, mossy areas with dragonflies flying around. There's also a really nice effect going on here where the water's reflecting light onto the wall and kind of rippling and dancing across it. More waterfalls, but this time underground and this time with rainbows, so that's pretty nice. It's also extremely bright and chill down here, and we can actually see some visible skybox up there, even though I thought we were supposed to be miles under the surface of the planet. We also get some interesting creatures down at this level, including this guy that's kinda got the Sonic Adventure Chaos thing going on, and the grass assassin, which is truly horrible. But man, just look how pretty this little grove is, right? Let's keep on moving and go down into the mines. There's a lot of classic Sega sci-fi stuff going on here. We can see influences from Burning Rangers, from Sonic Adventure, obviously from other Phantasy Star games. Anyway, down here we've got a lot of horrible robots that are running wild, but we've also got cool glowing neon and glyphs everywhere, shiny chrome platforms over huge chasms, classic Sega sci-fi shit, you know? To me, the mines are one of the most iconic areas in Phantasy Star Online. Whenever someone mentions the game, that's kind of the image I get in my head. But I don't actually have too much more to say on it, kinda speaks for itself. Let's see what the Book of Hunters has got to say about it. And again, shout out to the Yellowbows Tumble. The mines are a mysterious underground facility not found on any of Pioneer 2's records. It appears to be a large factory with many broken computers and machines, as well as a large storage area full of various materials. What was being developed and produced here is unknown. No creatures native to Ragol are found here, and instead it's occupied by hostile robots designed to guard the facility. I'll keep running with this reading for a minute and let us take us into the ruins. The interior of the ruins are quite spacious and connected by an intricate system of teleporters. At first it appears to be a standard facility, but further investigation revealed it to be a giant structure. However, it's all constructed with technology different to Pioneer 1, or our own. The creatures inside are biological, as opposed to the robots of the mines, being evil, nightmarish monsters. And yeah, by the time we get down here we are a little bit into the HR Geiger zone, which is another thing that Phantasy Star likes to do towards the end of the games, introducing a bit of body horror, adding some biological aspects to the architecture. Even the outside of the temple here kinda looks like an alien insect hive. The upper sections are in a better condition and then it just kind of degrades as you go through it. You got this corridor here with the tubes of pulsing flesh looking a little bit like something out of Super Metroid, or maybe Lord Jabu Jabu's belly off Ocarina of Time. All of the shapes and colours in this place are a little bit off and sickly as well. As you get down into the heart, the whole thing looks like it's beating and throbbing. Weird little worms or maggots floating around in the air. It's all pretty grim, to be honest with you. But I guess that's how Dark Files likes to roll, you know? Now that really does take us to the end of the main story areas of episode 1, and obviously there's other stuff to talk about with Phantasy Star Online, including episode 2, the Card Revolution, and Blue Burst. But I do think we're going to leave it here today and maybe pick those up in future videos. I'm always down to talk about some 6th gen aesthetics, especially Phantasy Star. So even though the later episodes never appeared on Dreamcast, they were instead GameCube, Xbox, PC, I'd still like to talk about them at some point, I think. But for now friends, I think that about wraps us up. Thank you very much for watching the video, I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, maybe a friendly comment, and I will see you in the next one.